Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to a special online event today called Discover the Next Level of Energy Medicine, advanced teachings to deepen your healing, intuitive mastery, and activate higher frequencies of consciousness. My name is Stephen Dyna. I'm the president and founder of the Shift Network, and I'm really delighted to be here with you with a woman that I feel is just delivering a powerful body of teachings that builds upon many things that have gone before, but offers some really important new insights into the energetics of transformation and to do so in an embodied way. Her name is Dr. Sue Morter, and she really is at the forefront of bioenergetic medicine and energy work and embodiment, somatic practices. In a way, I hardly have the language to describe all the different threads that she integrates, and she's really become a superstar in the Shift Network. More and more people gravitating to her teachings. For 400 years now, they've been building and building, and now we're actually starting to get into some of her more advanced teachings that have not been offered online before. So we're really excited to be here with Dr. Sue, and welcome Dr. Sue to today's program.
Oh, Stephen, I have to say it is an amazing thing to be here. I'm thrilled about bringing this advanced work forward. And with the Shift Network is exactly how it's perfect to unfold. I usually teach this work only in live audiences, in live group settings. And what I know is that with the work that we've done together already with the Shift and building the community that we have built and bringing the awareness forward of these concepts, that we're going to be able to dive deeply into this amazing additional content in the advanced coursework. So I'm thrilled to be bringing it forward with you. I feel like the Shift is my family. It has a very deep reaching heart and meaning into my life. And so I so look forward to what we're about to do.
Awesome. Well, I want to let everyone know up front, we are going to have this hour with Dr. Sue, and we've hinted a little bit that it is going to be a brand new 6-month advanced program that has never been offered before by Dr. Sue. We've already had a tremendous response to this from graduates of previous programs, so we're excited to open that up to everyone, and we'll hear more about that towards the end of the hour today. So, Dr. Sue, I know it's so important for us to not just hear a bunch of information, but to really be in a state of reception and openness to these codes that you're more transmitting than even teaching today. So I would invite you to open us up with some prayer, blessing, sacred invocation, which you do so masterfully, and so that we're all in a place of really being open to this landing at the deepest level of our being.
Absolutely. My pleasure. So if we could all just bring our attention off of the thinking mind and the outer world and everything that we've been doing to scurry forward to be sitting here right now, and just drop into the core of our own being. Just allow the energy to drop in. You'll feel energy from around the surface of your head to just kind of drop in, and allow that to flow down through the central core of your being. And as it does so, allow it to move even further down into the earth beneath where you sit. For the truth of you is that you are the bridge between heaven and earth. In fact, by activating that, it simply becomes heaven-earth because of your presence here. And as we allow these beautiful concepts to be reminding us of the truth of who we are in this next conversation, may we be actively enlivening these joyful centers within us that are rejoicing in the recognition, the recognition of this deep truth. We're here to awaken. And as we come together in this beautiful setting, in this beautiful manner, it happens unexpectedly, unwaveringly, that we rise. We rise to this truth of who we are. And may we hold this awareness that gets activated today in our very cellular structure, that it may serve us in every engagement that we encounter in the days and weeks and months to come. And as we engage in the program, may it deepen and further and broaden our awareness of the truth of who we are, so that we walk upon the surface of the planet with great clarity, with the multidimensionality that we are the solution. Instead of seeking the solution, we bring light, love, and awareness to every circumstance that we encounter. May this next hour activate, spark that inspiration in us all, together as a family with the Shift Network.
Thank you. And I can just feel things it's like a little energetic chiropractic as you're that transmission.
Yes.
Love for you said a little bit, we're going to be talking on a more advanced level today. That's how we've positioned. It's not just basic intro, like what is energy, but really about working with these deeper codes that connect our highest self with our embodiment. And as you said, heaven, earth, it's really about like erasing a sense of separation of these levels so that they're really like different aspects of one of our fullness, really. So if you set a little bit of context of your understanding of these energetic codes and how they start to link us up into this one whole being spirit body system.
Oh, you bet. We are energy beings, and energy follows a full spectrum. We have a tendency to think of ourselves as having a physical reality and then a non-physical reality, a physical body, the real world, and then this spiritual world. That's this invisible, different, separate reality. And it is so important that we stop thinking of it that way, that we recognize that we are the energy, we are the invisible stuff, and that we are here traversing the full spectrum of the non-physical all the way to the deeply tangible and even more so into the quagmire that human consciousness has developed for itself, all the friction and the details of the stresses that we encounter and the things that we're unhappy with or that create so much dissatisfaction in our lives. All of it is beautiful, and all of it is trying to work together in a way that allows us to embody our highest potential right down into this physical realm and even further into the conflict of the physical realm, so that we bring the invisible infinite possibility right into what feels like a problem, an issue, a conflict, or the friction of our lives. Because when those two energies meet, we are a walking solution on the planet. When we think that they're two separate worlds, we're always identifying as one or the other, either seeking its opposite or trying to dissolve the problem of the opposite world. So what we have to do is learn to meld these energies together. And that's exactly what we'll be doing in this course. We're going to be taking a new look at the invisible anatomy, the energy anatomy, the subtle structure of who we are, that's less obvious to the naked eye, such as, our physical system and our physical reality that we're looking at, and start to see on a subtle level, to perceive and to sense and to know that this isn't an energy that we're looking for, it's the rest of who we are that we're coming to know. And as we start to identify as that invisible energy self, that invisible subtle structure, we start to draw upon a greater influence, a greater sense of self, a bigger self, a cosmic self, a universal intelligence that is our own intelligence. It's ours too. We have a tendency to think I'm this separate self and I have to, connect with something cosmically or something universal to get some guidance from some guides or from some external resource. And that is true, only as long as we continue to perceive ourselves as a separate self. So what I want to have happen in this course is for us to recognize that we're made of the very stuff that we've been praying to or seeking from. And as we begin to recognize that, we start to breathe as this immense being of consciousness that takes in everything that it encounters and churns it up and kind of chews it up and turns it into something that is of service instead of something that feels like an obstacle. So many ways to approach it. I look forward to coming at it from every angle to start to make this a real and tangible thing for us to do.
One of the things that you've spoken about that I think is really important is this idea of contracts, that we come in as a soul with contracts, and that many of the challenges or patterns that get constellated are actually part of the curriculum for those contracts. In a way, I'd love for you to build upon that and to kind of see it's a different relationship with the tangles and the parent challenges. And so we're taking responsibility for that on a still deeper level.
You bet. So in this, I call it the bus stop conversation. It's what we're, what we talk about at the bus stop while we're waiting to catch the bus to come to planet Earth. And so I kind of approach it from this, a place of delight, so that we start to soften and enliven this idea that I have these soul contracts that I have to fulfill, et cetera. It can start to feel kind of boggish and intimidating. And so I'm wanting people to recognize that, no, it's all in your favor. There is nothing but support happening in your life. And no matter how it's showing up, it's actually support. So we have to set a context there. We have to shift things just a little bit, look at it from a different perspective. Because sometimes when these things are happening, they don't feel like support. They feel like it's, it's taking us out of the game, or it's really bogging me down, or causing a distraction or the friction in my life. When in actuality, if we have the perspective of operating as the soulful self, what we begin to recognize as the subtle self, as this invisible energy, what we begin to recognize is that every single thing is supporting my ability to train my mind to refine the soulful expression here on this planet, in this life, in this lifetime, right here where the rubber meets the road, in my family relationships, in my work dynamic, in my social structure. Everything that's happening is in favor of me building the circuitry for me to unwaveringly know the truth of who I am and the truth of what's going on here. So when I'm in a challenged situation with my kids, or I'm in a challenged situation with my boss, I am not going off of my own core and splatting or dispersing my essence onto the object of my friction. I'm rather recognizing I need to stay home for myself and see this situation as something that's working to refine me. And so we're going to be working with, in the course, of course, with ways to build the circuitry to perceive this way. But in the meantime, I want everyone to know that that thing that's happening, that relationship that is stressful, or the circumstance that is less than fun, is part of a soul contract that you agreed upon, not just so that you could wake up, but so that you could wake up to your power to bring transformative energy to the planet, so that you can be of service, so that you can bring all of you here. Now, the immediate benefit of you bringing all of you here is that you start to feel whole. You start to feel abundant. You start to feel less stress and more fluid, more flow happening through your life. You start to feel like, oh my gosh, maybe I can survive this. maybe I don't have to count the years until how many more years am I going to do this? It shifts. And then the beautiful thing starts to happen even after that. So your symptoms are relieving, your relationships are changing, the dynamic of your life seems to be unfolding. That's fabulous. But the beautiful part starts to happen after that, which is that these things that have been pent up inside of you, that you have only held for yourself because no one seemed to meet you there, no one seemed to find or feel or see you in that kind of a way, they start to find a language. They start to discover a way of unfolding and expressing out into the world in an unconditional, in an unattached, in an unwavering fashion. So what ends up happening is you start seeing yourself because the world is seeing you as this amazing solution that's just unfolding. You come into situations and you see them differently because you're recognizing and coming from. It's not an intellectual process anymore. You're learning how to come from a place of wholeness. And when you're coming from a place of wholeness, what begins to happen in your life is the words that come out of your mouth are life-changing for other people. You're not even trying. The circumstances, the projects, the ideas that occur to you seem to be miraculous. They seem to be otherworldly. They seem to be so dynamic and full of life and possibility without you trying. So people who think, no, I'm not really very creative, it doesn't really happen for me. That's these other people that do this. These people that have these lofty dreams and these big ideas and they're out there living large. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you in your way, bringing your particular gifts forward in a way that you never knew were going to be serving the planet. I used to think, how can I, as this individual doctor in an office in one little city across this country, on this continent, not having anything to do with other offices in other continents around the world, how could I really make a difference in the world? What happened in my life awakened me to this grounded foundational truth that we're all standing in. We're all in this creative soup. And when it starts to wake up, we start to sense and feel that one little forgiveness on my part changes the world. One little aha and revelation on my part changes the bandwidth of human consciousness altogether. And someone on the other side of the planet lets go of something one day and they don't even know why they did it. Something happened to create a critical mass of unfoldment of this light consciousness and possibility grounded inside the human species, vibrating at a frequency that impacts everyone else that's walking around in that bandwidth. And so you, walking in your own life, in your own individual circumstance, you are contributing to the stream of consciousness that every one of us is exchanging from. So everything starts to unfold in this soulful contract kind of way. It's not just that you wake up and you learn what you came here to learn, you learn your lesson. It's way beyond that. It's that you get that out of the way so that you can start revealing you. And that's what the world is obviously ready for. We are in need of you, and it's time.
Wow. Well, that's amazing context to understand like how we're with these subtle ripples of consciousness affecting everyone around the world and vice versa. And that when we line everything up, then we're automatically becoming more miraculous in how we show up. One of the things that people, when we asked to rate in advance, like what are the things they're most interested in, they said they were very interested in the off the body energy streams, chakras 8 through 12, and how it relates to life purpose and soul's purpose. I wonder if you can share a little bit more, since most people are more aware of the conventional 7 chakra kind of model and the more embodied, but talk a little bit about some of these higher frequencies and why they're important for us to start to connect with.
You bet. I have, I'm always liking to grab a little poster here. So I'm just going to hold this up for a second and show everybody what I'm talking about. That, we see this chakras 1 through 7, this familiar rainbow bridge that we are in the physical body. But the physical body is just reflecting something that's happening on a larger context. So I just want you to think of it as we're taking the chakra system that we're familiar with and we're expanding it like the bigger holographic version of that, like on a bigger scale spectrum, on a higher frequency level. Now what's happening that's influencing these chakras are chakras 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 is this electrical matrix that happens inside this whole cycle called chakra 12. So chakra 12 is what we reference as in some contexts, in some conversations, which we will definitely be having, as the ascension body. It has to do with how do we raise our vibrational frequency? How do we truly do that? What we're doing inside this chakra 12, what we're doing inside of this is raising this whole vibration to match this, because this is the highest frequency version of you. This comes into context the moment that the soul says, I am. The moment that we become an individuated point in the big unified field of consciousness. We become a single point of consciousness of the unified field. And so then after that, we begin to quicken and quicken and quicken toward the physical dimension, gathering and gathering and becoming a little bit more dense, etc., so that there's a place inside of what this loop, it's actually a loop, which I'll be describing, that we are living inside of. It's a loop of consciousness that's folded over on itself. And within inside of that space, we have an opportunity to become self-aware. And so inside of that, it creates a polarization. And inside that polarized energy, we can run energies up and down this whole system, ascending them and descending them, ascending them and descending them, until we start to work out the interferences that exist in between the different chakras. Now, let me tell you what I just said, okay? So I may have a chakra 1, 2, 3, or 4, and I may be awake in those to some degree or not. And as I am, I might be experiencing my personal power or my ability to experience love to a greater degree than I used to be, or my ability to manifest, etc. What we want to ultimately do is have all of that integrate so that we have access to all of those energies all the time. So the energies beyond the body are the guiding influences to the energies within the body. So anything that we want to do to influence our chakras 1 through 7 is going to become easier when we awaken to chakras 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So chakra 8 is just off the surface of your crown chakra, for instance. It's if you put your hand above your head and snapped your fingers and looked up there, right about there is your chakra 8. And about that same distance up above you again is roughly where the energy concentration of chakra 9 are. Those two energies have to do with your general life purpose, what you're here to do. Are you here to refine courage? Are you here to refine forgiveness? Are you here to choose joy? Are you here to learn to love no matter what's going on? And each of us have our own little take on that based upon these soul contracts, this bus stop conversation, etc. But all of us in general are here to awaken to the energies that are such high frequency energies that they can't even be held in the physical body. We're here to awaken as faith and trust and intuition and inspiration. Those are the energies in chakra 8. We're up in chakra 9, even higher frequency energies, meaning I'm coming here into this dimension, into this life, taking a physical body and doing this thing that we call humanity. I'm doing the human thing. I'm being human because I'm here to consciously and intentionally bring the high frequency light of other dimensions or of the divine or of source, however we want to reference that. I'm here to animate that. I'm here to awaken as that. That's my soul's purpose. I came to the third dimension of all the places I could have gone because it's here in the third dimension that we have the opportunity to work with duality, to work with the reflection. This is like mirror land. We come in and we have all kinds of things being reflected back to us that are going to determine what we're going to awaken to next. What's happening? How we're here as we're utilizing this dimension as a place of guidance. It's where we get the guidance to learn how to masterfully manage invisible energies so that we can awaken as them. Chakra 10 is located beneath where you stand or sit here, lower in the system. This represents your embodiment. It represents what you have allowed to be true for you, what you have truly accepted, not conceptually, but what are you integrating? And so as we start working with chakra 10 in our modules, we're going to be speaking about how to awaken higher levels of consciousness by anchoring and rooting even more deeply. Think about the tree has to root deeper in order for the branches to grow taller. Think of this on a cosmic kind of quantum scale, that in order for me to awaken up into these high brain centers, I have to deepen my root system. Meaning I have to awaken to the fact that I am not just a human being just walking around trying to survive this life. I'm here as a master, and I have to awaken my mastery if I'm ever going to master the physical dimension. I have to become awakened at the energies that are beyond the physical body. They're so high frequency, they have such an opportunity and a capacity for transmuting our issues, our fears, all of the ideas that we are a separate self, that there's something that I'm missing or that is broken, that needs to be fixed or healed. We transcend that by going straight through that and building circuitry to access these higher frequency energies that once we embody and activate them and start to live and work with them, what begins to happen is safety and survival is no longer our goal. Safety is not a big enough goal for you. It doesn't speak to or allow you to express into the wholeness of your being. You are creator. Creator is safe. So when we are trying to set our goals or we're making decisions based upon, what's the safe or smart thing to do or what should I do, it means that we don't have faith and trust and this trusted relationship with the entire cosmos in place. We don't have that in place. If we did, we wouldn't be thinking in terms of, well, what should I do? Or how am I going to know? You're going to move from an inspired place because you're in touch with the fact that the only thing that is ever happening in my life is the unfoldment and my awakening and embodiment opportunity for me to live as these true energies that are far beyond just my physical being. I am so much more than just this. This is a vehicle that I use to drive around the surface of the planet, to walk around and be here. But really, crazy as it sounds, this is who we are. This is who we are. This is not who we are. This is a vehicle that keeps us trapped in duality if this is the only place that we think we live, because it's a physical being and our physical world is based in duality. It has to be. It's a bigger conversation, which we're certainly going to have in the course. But what I want you to get right now is that these energies that are beyond the body, that are chakras 8 and 9 and 10 and 11, this electric spark of inspiration that's constantly traveling inside that whole chakra 12 that I'm talking about. And the chakra 12 itself is the I am presence. It is the beginning point of you. of you as acting as an individual point of consciousness in a stream that is constantly trying to flow, as we begin to animate all of that, we start to realize there is nothing that I cannot do. My life is 1,000 times busier than I ever dreamed it would be. And I used to think I was busy when I was running this health clinic and managing other doctors and a team of staff and all the patients. And I thought I had a full-time job on my hands. And it was nothing compared to what is happening in my life right now. And I feel more grounded and present and clear and fulfilled than I ever dreamed was even a possible sensation that one could embody. And I love sharing that with other people because we're all supposed to know that. We're supposed to know that we can bend time, that we can step through the veil of positive and negative, of yes and no, and turn our lives into the unfoldment of something absolutely miraculous. It is meant to be for us. And so that's, I kind of get passionate about it when I
well, what a stream of inspired, transmitted wisdom there. And I love how you're talking about these different levels. I mean, they're really just disclosing themselves to me kind of in a more preliminary form, but I've also been experiencing this heightening of things in life while also relaxing more deeply into it and just letting the spirit move through in a beautiful way. Well, and we said that we're going to today focus also on really having a deep experience of transformation right now, just not hearing about what can happen, but really embodying it right now. So I think right now would be a great time to guide folks in this guided meditation you call the elevator, and it's working with this whole central channel and helping to kind of line it up and do that energetic chiropractic that helps us to allow the flow. So why don't you take us into a guided process now?
Absolutely. I'm thrilled to. What happens here is we get in this inspired energy and it just starts coming in and channeling right out into you. There is a transmission that's happening with everyone that's watching this. And what begins to happen is we become aware of this energy around the body. And if you just bring your attention to that right now, there is a thickness, a quickening, a gelling, a congealing, if you will, of the space right around you. In fact, if you would just slowly raise your hand and then lower it, you can start to feel a resistance off the surface of your hands. And I want to invite you to drop into your hearts just a little bit more, drop into your bellies just a little bit more. Just let the energy fall down through the body for just a little moment here until the more you drop into the core and the more you move your hands slowly in slow motion, you can start to feel something kind of moves with you as you move. And there's this substance to what you're feeling. Maybe take both of your hands and just point them upward. There's a universal pulse that is happening. And it is truly the intelligence that is guiding the chakra 12. This happens in the developing embryo in the womb. And it's actually what builds the nervous system. And I'm going to talk about that. It's a universal pulsation. We're going to learn to work with that in the course. But right now, slowly just turn your hands toward each other and let them feel the resistance between your hands. There's like a magnetic thickness between them. Or maybe if you just hold them still, it becomes hard to even pull them apart. Like there's something sticky in between that doesn't want them to separate from each other. And the more you drop into your heart, the thicker that becomes. So something for you to practice with. Even if I don't see you in the course, this will change the way you operate in the world because you're coming into contact with the same energies of chakra 11 and 12, super high frequency energies. But the more you drop into your heart, the more they become thick and real because you're resonating, you're vibrating at their radio station. So you can sense and feel that. So now, just with our awareness there, if everyone can just bring your attention just slightly above your head, maybe reach your hand up to full arm's length ahead. Just hold your hand up above your head, just kind of pointing down toward your head like that. And just see if you can feel some energy between the top of your head and the palm of your hand. Now there's a real stream of energy that's pouring down through your body all the time. And what we're going to be doing in this course is get you super acclimated to that, so you can sense and feel this. Because when you're walking around with that awareness, everything changes. So just lower your hand and just drop into a comfortable seated position. And maybe you can close your eyes, and my cues from now for the rest of this won't be visual, so that you can center more easily, more deeply, if that's easier for you to close your eyes. Bring your attention to the crown of your head. There is a halo. It's a sphere, actually. Sometimes it shows up as a disc or a ball of light surrounding and including the top of your head. It's a very real point of view. It's your divinity. We're going to drop down through that and allow you to maintain your awareness that I am a multidimensional being. Picture this as an elevator shaft and walk in the elevator. The elevator doors open and you step inside. Gently and slowly, in slow motion, turn around and face the doors as the doors close. And here, inside this elevator, we're going to drop and descend down through the body. This is what we do as the spirit being, the soulful self. We come into contact with more and more physical, more dense energies as we descend down this elevator shaft. So we remain aware of this at the 6th floor here in the 3rd eye in the center of the brain. And we're going to drop down this elevator shaft that runs down through the center of your brain and the center of your throat and the center of your heart and the center of your chest to the center of your belly, to the center of low below the navel, into the tip of the spine and down into the space underneath you. But right now, let's come back up to the 6th floor in the center of your brain. And we're going to drop down into the throat. As we drop through the elevator shaft, we're literally in the elevator dropping down into the throat area of the body. And it's here we're manifesting. We know that we're here to bring our whole selves fully into this life. From the multi-dimensionality that we are, of chakra 12 and 11, and our soul purpose and our life purpose, and our ability to run these energies unwaveringly, we manifest ourselves all the way down now to the 4th floor. Drop the elevator slowly from the throat through the upper chest and down into this heart center. It's here on this floor, the elevator doors open and we see a vast array of love. We see only unconditionality and pure support for everything that I'm encountering is in support of me awakening to my magnificence. I'm here for this. It is my purpose. And as they step inside the elevator with all of me and the doors close, I descend more deeply still into the solar plexus area, just where the ribs splay apart in my body above the navel. It's here that these energies allow for my mind to become completely infused in this love, in this divinity. And I allow my own individuality, my self-love to be ignited. I allow my version of life on earth as heaven earth to be valid, to be true, to be good. My way is a good way, and goodness is what I'm made of. I allow this identity to be who I am as I sit here just above the navel in this elevator shaft. In fact, I can look up through the shaft and see all the way up to the crown. And I can look below me and see that this is where I'm headed for this moment, as I allow the elevator to drop deeper still below the navel into this deep-seated place of wisdom, that I can maintain this awareness and still be in relationship. I can engage here at this 2nd floor. I'm able to engage with others without losing who I am. I can engage at work without forgetting the gifts that I bring. I can bring forward my solution in a moment of conflict, and it's easy for me because I'm full here and supported by the filtering system of this body in a beautiful, beautiful way. As I drop more deeply still in this elevator, descending down toward the tip of my spine, I sit here and root myself. I anchor in the physicality because I know that I am the non-physical. I am the invisible energy, but I'm coming here, landing all the way to my earthly being fully. And there's more. I drop lower in the elevator shaft, this time all the way to chakra 10. For as I drop 2 feet beneath the body, I start to engage the energies that hold the unwavering presence for all of life's ups and downs, the ins and outs, the unknown along with the known and the familiar. All of it is equally inviting to me because I know my purpose for being here. I'm a divinely guided spirit being, and I am here to manifest completely. I run the energies up and down this elevator shaft with every engagement in my life as I build the circuitry to fully engage. as an illuminated being here. And so with this, I sit down comfortably in chakra 10. And as I do so, I acknowledge the invisible, subtle spirit being that I am, and I validate it. By validating it, I can walk as it. The deep breath in, I allow the light and the love that I have transcended down and descended down into the body as, to become fully my identity. Take a deep breath in from here, deep within the earth, and exhale. And then from within this elevator shaft, may we just rise back up to our hearts, rise back up to our conscious minds deep in the center of our brain as we slowly open our eyes and return back to this conversation as an illuminated, embodied elevator shaft, awake and ready to roll.
Dr. Sue, that was awesome. And I just feel like so many different levels of what's getting activated and aligned when you're doing that guided process. And one thing I want to bring more to the foreground in the next few minutes is the importance, really in your work, of embodying this, of anchoring it in the body. That a lot of times when people talk about intuition and energy and these different levels of metaphysical truth, it becomes discarnate, disconnected from the body. But you're talking a lot about opening to the core and really designing new circuitry, and just let's just talk a little bit about why that embodiment piece is so important to anchor this and actually make it real.
Sure. Thank you, Stephen. It is such an integral part, and it's really the foundation of why I started teaching what I'm teaching. Because having awareness of these high frequency energies is not enough. Enlightenment is not enough. Embodiment is the key. If we want anything to be sustainable, if you want to be able to draw upon these beautiful sensations that we have when we go into deep meditations, when the going gets rough, then the body has to carry that as a savings account around with you. And that's actually the purpose of the body. The body, it represents the unconscious until it becomes conscious. We want the body to be housing our consciousness. And to do that, we have to move into it. To do that, we have to build the neurocircuitry to sustain it, to support it. So we're working with two types of circuitry in the work that I'm teaching in this advanced course. And of course, in the introductory course, we set that in motion. And then in the advanced course, we're certainly going to deepen our understanding and our usage of it. So we're first building electromagnetic circuits of flow. Think of it as flowing energy, liquid energy that's moving, liquid light that's moving, which is a very real and tangible, measurable reality. We know that the body is made of liquid crystalline structures, and we're going to talk all about that kind of thing, how it even has an effect on our very DNA, and how we begin to change our physiology and our chemistry because of being able to start to flow energy through the body and activate different tissues at different times. And so as that begins to happen, we start to build a continuity of flow in the body that pretty soon the sensor that becomes thick enough, quickened enough, like tangible enough, because we do it consistently enough, and we're learning how to build the circuitry of energy flow, electromagnetic energy flow, to the degree that it eventually thickens and quickens that the sensory nervous system can start to pick up on it. And when we can sense that as a sense of self, we start to develop, whoa, I know who I am. Even this type of situation that used to disperse me and splat me and get me all up in my head and get me defensive or protective, it just doesn't have that effect because I have a greater sense of who I am. And I get it, not intellectually, but my body is housing this energy so that it keeps me grounded and keeps me centered when I'm not even thinking about that. That's what we want. So we eventually want the neurologic circuitry to come on board and memorize what we're recognizing cognitively, so that the body is supporting the mind, because the body and the mind have to work together to create enough momentum for the soulful self to be able to pierce out into this world of chaos without losing or scattering itself, dispersing, and having to retreat back into a safe space. And so we're marrying mind, body, breath together in such a fashion that there's such a continuity, a quickening, and a strength, and a vital force, a vital power alive, that we never lose touch with it. So that as I mentioned, we're drawing from this like cosmic savings account that the body is holding like a vessel. It's just collecting it. and we draw upon it when we need it. So the embodiment piece is everything. Yes, I want everyone to have these expanded experiences of divine light, which is who we are. We want that to be alive in our consciousness. But if we can't enliven it in our body, then we lose track of it when we step into what we continue to think of as the separate real world out there. And that's not okay, because that world out there is supposed to be our playground. And if we get protective or defensive or afraid in the midst of it, then we never get to experience its purpose here. So we have to enliven these expansive energies and embody them and build the circuitry to sustain them so that we're walking around as that, not trying to access it, but becoming it so that it's never forgotten. It's who we are.
Beautiful. Well, one thing that we mentioned when talking about this new circuitry is also repatterning things around trial and error, stimulus response, and survivorship. I'd love for you to connect what you just shared with rewiring of the patterns around those areas.
Until we recognize the truth of who we are, we start deflecting and reacting, and we get protective, and we do all kinds of things that actually accentuate duality. We get into our rightness or our wrongness, right? We either think, I have to convince them that they don't understand what I'm talking about, or they don't understand what they're talking about. Or we take the reverse and we retreat and we deflect inside, and we hide, we suppress, we become apathetic, we reject, we feel rejected. And so we reject so that we don't, continue to feel hurt. We try to get strong, or we combat it. And all of that is just amplifying duality. We'll never fight back enough to win, because there's nothing to be fighting. There's only awakening to happen. And as we awaken, that which seemed to be in opposition starts to melt in our presence, because duality is always subservient to unity. So if we can embody a unifying principle, all duality will have to ultimately surrender to our beingness, to who and what we are being in the world. And that's what I want for everyone, not just in these big social ideas and these big political issues or these things that are happening in our world on this grand scale. Not that, but that. But I mean, like, let's break it down to our individual laboratories, our individual lives, the relationships that are happening now, the relationships that happened in our past, the relationships that we would love to experience in our future. Let's break it down as this living laboratory and learn how to build the circuitry to be able to sustain what I'm talking about, regardless of what we're encountering. Because every one of those experiences and the responses that we have been having to them are trying to show us a better way of being. Not to become a better person, but to become more aware of the magnificent person that we actually already are. But we are not aware of it until we are. And so this work is about recognizing that, building the circuitry to live it and to sustain it so that it's working for us, even in a moment when our mind can't find such an inspired disposition. The body is holding it steadily for you when you need it most. So hopefully that's helpful to what you're asking, Stephen.
Beautiful. There's one other area that I wanted to also highlight, since we said we would go into it, and has to do with how these work with energy and codes of energetic transformation actually can work all the way down to the biochemical and genetic level. I know there's a lot of fascinating research around epigenetics and how our intention actually gets transmitted back into our genetics. But we could love to just touch on that a bit.
Oh, yeah. So, epigenetics are these little antennas that reside on the surface of every cell of our being, of our body, and they're picking up radio frequencies. And so those radio frequencies are from the environment. But what I want you to get is that this is the environment that we're talking about. So if I can awaken right here, if I can awaken here, then the environment is sending signals here of unity and not duality. And so the unity signal is hitting the cells of my body. And at this very chakra level, the cells, for example, this is just one example, we'll use many in the course, but each chakra, of course, is associated with an endocrine gland. And those endocrine glands are secreting the chemicals that are basically running your life experience. They're deciding how your brain is functioning. They're deciding if you're digesting foods properly. They're deciding if you're having a hormonal roller coaster ride in your life. They're deciding if you're aging or if you're youthing. They're deciding if you are healing or you're not. All of this is chemicals. So chemicals are this amazing thing that happens at the endocrine level and at the chakra level. These little antennas are picking up an energy wave, and then they're sending that information inside the cell, and then the cell produces a chemical based upon the information that came across the antenna. So now the cell is creating a chemistry that is based upon an invisible energy wave. So right here is where God stuff is happening. We're taking something invisible and making something visible out of it. So we're taking radio waves and we're making chemistries. So if my cells pick up on a radio wave that is a message of wholeness, I produce a different chemical than if that antenna is picking up on a message, an invisible message of separateness or lack or fear based upon a sense of separateness or lack, or anger based upon a sense of need for defensiveness to protect myself against the lack that I'm perceiving, etc. And so what we're saying is, we have to awaken and remove the interferences in the field so that we're not perceiving an inaccurate message across that antenna, so that what gets reported inside the cell is a message that produces a chemistry of enlivenment, not protectivism. So that we're creating chemistry of healing and wholeness and wellness and rejuvenation and peace and harmony, instead of guard and protect and fight or flight. So that instead we can digest and filter and cleanse and replenish our immune system, rather than exhaust and deflect and become apathetic and broken down and develop cancers and debilitating diseases and chronic degenerative conditions in the body. All of it is a byproduct of energy being translated accurately or inaccurately based upon the interferences in our energy field. So what we're doing is perfecting the message in the field. This field of energy is flowing through your body all the time. And if it is hitting interferences because of blockages that you hold as grudges or unforgiveness or what have you, this rising energy, this energy comes down through your body, hits the earth and rises back up, and then creates this field. Then we look out through this field and we see either an accurate world or a distorted one. And it becomes distorted if it's rising up and has to go around these blockages in our system. And that wobble creates a distortion in this energy field. Now I'm in here, I look out, and I see every reason I need to protect myself because I'm seeing a distorted reality. So that sends a message to my cells that I'm not safe. And the whole thing just keeps re-perpetuating itself, if that's a word, recreating itself, and it creates the reality that I'm living in. We have to stop that. We have to stop that. We have to perfect the chemistry that we're living in, and we can do so by building the circuits right through these areas of interference so that this becomes perfected, and then we get to live in a world that is closer to the truth than the one we were living in just a moment ago. And every moment is improving upon that, if I have my way. That's what I'm interested in instilling for everyone.
Wow. Well, Dr. Sue, you are a fountain of extraordinary insights, and just so clear that there's the power moving through you of the energetic transmission of this work is just really palpable and powerful. So thank you for this. And I want to spend some time now talking about your advanced program in more detail, because I know that people who are listening to this are like, wow, this is a body of work that's a next level body of work that I haven't heard elsewhere, and I want to go further. I know there's a lot of people thinking that. So let's talk about your program. First of all, we're so blessed that Dr. Sue agreed to do this. We're at a packed schedule, and I kind of did a little bit of, she calls hypnotism, to get her to even agree to do this, because I just recognize how important this body of work is and how hungry people are to go still deeper. We attract a lot of very advanced seekers from around the world in the Shift Network, and it's time for us to go to that next level of awakened embodiment and enhancing our ability to heal ourselves and ultimately heal our society. So the program is called Energy Codes Advanced Training, Deepen Your Intuitive Mastery and Power to Heal. And you can find it laid out in detail at energycodesadvanced.com, energycodesadvanced.com. And it's a 6-month program with mainly 2 sessions a month. There's a lot of bonuses. I mean, this is so we could work into Dr. Sue's schedule, but also it gives you a lot of time to really do the practices and integrate over time and deepen the tissue of connection between all the other participants. We already have 250 people signed up right away from graduates. So it's going to be quite a large international program and community of really advanced practitioners. So Sue, I'd love for you to share in your own words what people are going to be getting in this advanced program and how it builds upon what you share here today, and give us a little bit of a tour of the modules.
Sure. So we're going to start right off with giving one an understanding of how to train the mind to listen to the signals and the insights from deep within the core of the body. Basically, this true essential energy being speaks to the body, right? So we are the soulful self. Just let me reference it that just for purposes of identifying the energy being as this soulful self, the essential self, the energy being speaks to the body by influences and nudges and knots in the stomach and lumps in the throat and all kinds of little subtle fluctuations of energy. So I'm going to teach you how to identify those. So some are obvious and some are not so obvious. And as we start to recognize that those things have actually been happening in my life all the time, and we start to put them in a context, we start to recognize that the soul speaks to the body, and the body is trying to speak to the mind, and the mind hasn't been listening. So what we want to do is get the mind to listen to the body so that it can start to sense and feel the signals of this essential invisible world that we've been speaking about, so that we can start to bring our tools, our faculties together so that we can move and navigate through this physical world as a non-physical being and masterfully bring the non-physical energies in through this system so that the system starts to perfect how it's functioning. Because as it does so, it becomes masterful in our lives. We begin to not only manage our relationships better and our health better and start to improve our financial circumstances because we're living in abundance, and so abundance is part of our life. Those kinds of things happen. But what I'm really interested in is creating a community of people that are interested in bringing a deep, objective, unattached, unwavering, unconditional truth forward through your own bodies, through your own lives, and allowing that to be the world that you insist upon, that you command. Because when we do that, we change the bandwidth of humanity. So that takes us into the expression of our wholeness. It takes us into distinguishing between our own tendency to be caught up in our limiting beliefs of our inheritance and what we grew up knowing and perceiving and understanding, and the beliefs that got established that were kind of an automatic behind the scenes kind of infusion into our lives, and to like really evaluate and assess, you know, wait a second, how much is this limiting me in my ability to awaken as this bigger being, as this big energy being, if I'm really trapped in the need for overcoming obstacles that I have been taught were going to be in my path, or that I have observed through the modeling of my parents, or you know, the physical life, the genetic inheritance. I'm going to distinguish between your energetic lineage and your genetic inheritance. And what I mean there is an old soul, lots of experience, has an ability to transmute these things rapidly. A young soul is going to have a head start on how to manage life from a different perspective. And so we'll be collectively working with these things through the second module. Then we move into this third module where we're looking at who was in my bus stop. What was that? What was happening there as we start to unpack the bus stops and conversations, and what were those agreements? What is the soul really interested in doing here, and how do I figure that out? How do I begin to know? And how do I make the distinction between needing to know with my head and feeling the truth of it in my core? And how do I get those to work together? So it's about unpacking the soul contracts and starting to recognize that there's a cycle in your life, and that these soul contracts are unpacking in just their right rhythm. There's a moment in your life where things creatively happen more easily. And there's another moment in your life where nurturing yourself is more important and necessary. And another moment in your life where letting go of things that are no longer serving you becomes easy when you start to recognize this cycle of life that I'll be explaining. And it explains for you why sometimes it's easy for you to come up with new ideas, and other times you can't seem to feel like The creativity is anywhere within arm's reach. Other times it seems easy for you to take care of yourself. And sometimes it feels so elusive. Like we get caught up in the idea that I'm too busy to take care of myself, or that it's just not my time. When in reality, if you're working beyond time, which is something I'm interested in showing you, how to work beyond karma and work beyond time and bending time and stretching it and shape-shifting your life in this kind of way. These are the things that we'll be speaking about halfway through the course. And then we start to move into this, well, really setting the foundation for this chakras 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And so we're going to take course after course after course, unpacking each one of these chakras, what they represent in your life and how they are influencing you haphazardly, intermittently, and how you'd like for you to start to harness that and collaborate with it, kind of work in this fashion that you're awake to those aspects of those different energy frequencies and use them to masterfully navigate your life. So in the module 5, in module 6, in module 7, in the 2 different courses in each of those modules, as we go through module 4 and 5 and 6, there's going to be 2 classes in each module. We're going to take one chakra at a time and unpack them. Teach you how to work with those, sense those energies, feel them, how to identify what they are, and how to know that you can feel and sense if you're utilizing them effectively, and start to really embrace the embodiment of these energies. Because when you awaken to chakras 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, you start operating as this instead of operating as this. You start identifying as this, recognizing that you have a body, that you're navigating through life. You don't get caught up thinking you are the body or the mind. You recognize you are the spirit self that has a body and has a mind. And you don't just recognize it intellectually. You recognize it because you're living from that perspective. And nothing could be more important in your life. Nothing could be more important in your life than you recognizing what life looks like from the perspective of the soul. Rather than looking at life from the perspective of the mind, we're going to unattach from the mind. We're going to peel this off of us, recognize it's a tool that my mind, I've been stuck to it, and I have to get it off of me so that I can use it for a higher purpose. Because it gets freaked out, it gets afraid, it gets caught up in rightness and wrongness, it starts carrying a flag and marching against things instead of recognizing I am made of wholeness and I have to train it to express in wholeness out into the world. Gandhi sat down and changed a nation. He sat down and changed a nation, but it wasn't this that sat down. It was this. He was awake and he sat down and he changed the actions, the attitudes, the dispositions of a nation. And we need to awaken to the truth of who we are. And our times are calling us to do that. And there is not a better time, ironically, in our lifetime than what is happening right now. Consciousness is ready to move into a place beyond duality. And we have to lead it intentionally. And we have to embody it in order to be sustainably effective in that way. So that's my intention of bringing this course forward.
Beautiful. It's an amazing program that you've created, and we're so blessed that you've chosen to move forward with this. I'll share a few other things about it. So it's as I said, live video course, and it is going to, with all of those you get the recordings of those, you get audio recordings, you get full PDF transcripts, there's a Facebook learning community, and there's a lot of extra bonuses. So first of all, the most important thing is, first of all, if you haven't taken the Energy Codes introductory training, that is bundled in as part of the package here so that you can really get those foundations in place and really understand all of the concepts that Dr. Sue is going to be teaching in depth. We also have a number of extra bonuses. There is a bus stop conversation, soul contracts and life purpose. This is an audio teaching with PDF workbook. You can see more details on energycodesadvance.com. There's also a teaching and a PDF workbook with Dr. Sue called Front Side, Backside, Awaken the Creator Within. Again, that deeper embodiment piece. We also have a video masterclass from Dr. Sue on vertical awakening versus horizontal living, working with those different kinds of energetic flows in your life. And we also have a special bonus, which is available only until midnight tonight, Pacific time. And that is Quantum Healing Through Energy Medicine, which is a dialogue with Dr. Sue and Dondi Dahlin, who's the host, and it's talking about the quantum flip of changing your perspective and changing your life really rapidly using quantum science. You want to share anything about that extra bonus, Dr. Sue?
Oh, it's an extraordinary conversation. I absolutely loved what got to transpire in that. And it's a deep and rich conversation and exploration of what this quantum flip is. And the quantum flip is basically changing from living from what I call the backside of the model in this victimized, relatively speaking, victimized disposition. Now, you might not think of yourself as a victim, but if you think that your outer world is impacting you, then there's a degree of us that is still trapped in this reality that we have to react to the outer world. And this quantum flip is a flip in our own identity, and we are coming forward from a place of creatorship rather than survivorship. And it allows us to sift through what is real and what is not and start to unpack that. So this bonus is part of a dialogue, just in a discussion about these things that set our perspective on this front side of the model in our own creatorship, which is ultimately where I want to take everyone. So
beautiful. Well, it's an amazing value, and it's an incredible opportunity to go into these advanced teachings, which have really never been offered before in an online environment. So we've kept it really accessible. You're getting the full Energy Codes introductory program, and you're getting all the 6 months. You're getting all these extra bonuses. You're getting the community. So it's a great value to get all of this advanced work in a way that you can use in the comfort of your own home rather than having to travel for. And you get all these extra bonuses, including the Quantum Healing Through Energy Medicine, when you sign up by midnight tonight. So I neglected a few things to mention. It actually starts on November 6th. You'll see more details again on energycodesadvanced.com. And it's going to run on Tuesdays at noon Pacific time, or the class session time. And even if you can't make the live session, you can still get the full value with the recording. So we encourage you to go there, read through the testimonials as well. And Dr. Sue has a profound impact on people's lives, and we're so blessed. Each time we've done the Energy Codes introductory training, the group has been doubling each time because there's a lot of buzz about this, and the power of the work really becomes very evident. So it's going to be a fantastic opportunity. I strongly encourage you to take it. We don't know when Dr. Sue will be able to do this again. So if you're feeling at all called to go deeper, there's really no risk in doing so. Money back guarantee of your satisfaction, and you can do so at energycodesadvanced.com. And when you sign up by midnight tonight, you get the extra Quantum Healing Through Energy Medicine bonus. So Dr. Sue, what a great hour. It's been a powerful transmission. I'm sure everybody's buzzing the way I am. So just any last words from your heart to folks who are considering joining you for the Energy Codes Advanced training?
Sure. I do think there is one course or so that has to be pre-recorded, but we're offering, in the midst of that, we will be allowing people to send in questions that I will answer as well ahead of time, and I'll answer any of those questions that we didn't get to on the next course, etc., because of my travels. So we were going to have a session or so that was going to have to be pre-recorded, but the rest of it is live, and I will certainly address everything that needs to be addressed that we can possibly accommodate. So I just wanted to double check on that. So as far as what to do from the heart space is everything. What we need to do in our lives is simply recognize that when we are speaking and actioning from the heart, and we are awakened largely from beyond the physical body to the non-physical energies that we are, and we're still knowing how to access this heart space, we are the transformative force on the planet. When that gets to happen, we are the solution that we have been seeking. And it's easy to experience ourselves as such when we build the circuitry for exactly that. So it is my delight to share this with you. It's my purpose on the planet. I have gone from completely being a terrified individual who slept on the floor in my closet as a kid to being completely delighted in speaking to tens of thousands of people all the time. And so that transformation in my own life is astounding when I stop and think about that. And I know that anywhere on the spectrum that you may be residing, that there is something here for you. It's a very important conversation, and it is definitely soul to soul that I intend on connecting with you in this course. So.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Dr. Sue. It's been an amazing hour. Thank you all for joining us. Let's go forward, all lit up, more connected on all the levels. And if you want to go further, you are warmly welcome to do so at energycodesadvance.com, and you get the extra bonus when you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you, Dr. Sue. Thank you all. Many blessings.
My blessings.